Bryn Whitney, Branch Manager and Vice President at Bangor Savings Bank. Bangor Savings Bank has been supporting our local communities for over 172 years, and we are proud to partner with MaineHealth Lincoln Hospital for this 5-part series on coastal medicine in Lincoln County. Bangor Savings is proud to work with Lincoln County Television and MaineHealth at Lincoln Hospital. We hope you enjoy this 5-part series as much as we've enjoyed supporting it. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, I'm Larry Seidlinger, and welcome to the final installment of a 5-part series on medicine in coastal Maine. Over the past month, we've taken you inside the operating room, where Jess Pinkenham, the surgical director, and an exceptional team have shared their vision for transforming Lincoln Hospital into a leading surgical center. We also followed Dr. Reed Fella and Ross Fella as they perform life-changing procedures. In addition, we had an insightful conversation with Dr. Hunnell, who had discussed the importance of palliative care and the growing need for compassionate support in our community. Today, as we conclude our series, we'll be sitting down with the executive team from Lincoln Hospital to explore the management side of healthcare. We hope you find this series as enlightening as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. I'd like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our sponsors Bangor Savings, Hager Enterprises, and Tidewater Telecom, who made this series possible. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to the management team here at Lincoln Hospital. First, we'll start with Andy Pestone. She is the Coastal Region President of MaineHealth. Cindy Wade, President of Lincoln Hospital, and Marvin Nesbitt. She is Lincoln Hospital Board of Trustees. Ladies, thank you. And welcome to this 5-part series. This has been a lot of fun doing. But let's get right to it, Andy. I'm going to ask you. Let's start with the regional structure that MaineHealth has implemented. This is unfamiliar territory to many viewers. Could you explain what regional structure entails and what it means for our hospital in the community?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for inviting me to be part of the show with Cindy and Marva. So MaineHealth is an integrated health system that serves most of southern Maine. It consists of 9 hospitals from North Conway, New Hampshire, all the way up to Belfast and Waldo County General Hospital, and all the way down to Biddeford. And Lincoln Health is, I think it's the jewel in the crown.
Absolutely.
But I'm not supposed to have favorites.
We think so too.
Well, yeah. But in all seriousness, so MaineHealth has 3 regions, a coastal region, a mountain region, and a southern region. And the coastal region consists of 4 hospitals. Brunswick has Midcoast Parkview, and going up the coast, Damariscotta has Lincoln. Rockport has Penn Bay Hospital, and Belfast has Waldo Hospital. Those 4 hospitals work together now under the auspices of a coastal region. And the reason why we have a region like this is to make it even easier than it ever has been for these hospitals to collaborate as they provide care for people. So the idea is if you are a woman who has a mammogram that indicates that you need a follow-up, we want to make sure you can get that mammogram as fast as you possibly can, and we're going to be able to, over time, give you an option of where you go to get that mammogram, and it's not going to matter to us as hospitals where you get that care, but it matters to you how quickly you get it, and you might, by driving a little bit further, want to get it even quicker than we would be able to offer it if you lived in, say, Belfast and that was your home hospital. If Damariscotta or Lincoln Health has an opening, you could schedule yourself there. So it's a way of making access to our services as easy as possible for our patients. And there's a whole bunch of other things that we can say about the region and the challenges that we're working through, but I'll leave it at that for now, and maybe Cindy has Cindy's really good at elaborating on where I start, so maybe she's got some things that I might have missed, but that's one way to explain what we're up to here with this collaborative structure.
So Cindy, how does this new structure impact Lincoln Health?
Well,
I think the folks at home here are going to want to know what's going on with our hospital.
Well, I think first and foremost, we want to provide access to care as close to home as possible, and that's what we've been talking about for years. And that's why when you come to, whether it's Waldoboro, Damariscotta, Booth Bay, or Wiscasset, we're trying to make sure we're providing the care that we can provide in the local community, but the regional structure is allowing us to do exactly what Andy just spoke to, which is say, if you need to get in sooner for something, perhaps we can connect you and do a warm handoff to one of our sister hospitals or brother hospitals up and down the coast and get you seen sooner. But we're also looking at really the crisis of healthcare, which is having the providers to provide care in the future and the staff to provide care in the future. We're looking at that too, because that's coming fast and furious at us. And so we aren't going to be able to provide every specialty in 4 hospitals in the coastal region. But maybe what we figure out is how do we provide that specialty in 1 or 2 of the places and provide the basic foundational care that community members need on a regular basis locally. So we're really looking at those services and figuring out, like ear, nose, and throat doctors or urology doctors, those specialties, there's very few of those people doing that specialty in the whole country, much less in the state of Maine and then in the coastal region. So if we can leverage those providers and provide them a place where they want to provide that care, get good call coverage, and it's not too far for folks to travel, we can do that in 1 or 2 places, and we can collaborate together to make sure that transition is smooth for our community members. We still want to provide primary care, cardiology care, and the basic care, emergency care, and other care in our local communities like Lincoln Hospital, but we want to be able to work together to provide that other type of care, that higher level of care that we aren't never going to be able to do in all 4 sites, especially given the future of the number of providers coming out to care for the number of people that need that.
What example of that be with the eye care? You folks here at Lincoln Hospital are doing some world-class, unique eye operations in the cataract.
Right.
In where other hospitals can share your expertise?
Absolutely, and we're looking at that, right? So we have a fabulous team here with Dr. Caitlin Nolan and Dr. Reed Feller. We're bringing in an optometrist this fall to round out that care. And so perhaps, people can come to Lincoln Hospital and or another hospital within our coastal region to get that care, but not all 4 places. So we can have a center of excellence, so to say, in 1 spot or 2 spots that people can access that care, because you aren't going to be able to find as many ophthalmologists as you need to populate all 4 hospitals. It's just not going to happen. They're just not out there. We're not growing enough of them through school or through their fellowships and to be able to come and work everywhere. So we got to figure out how to do that so that we can provide that access to care as close to home as possible. That's the most important thing.
So Andy,
it's a good example, Larry.
So would we, as the coastal president, would you look at maybe Midcoast, maybe cancer, and Lincoln Hospital would be eyes, and Penn Bay maybe ears, eyes, and throat, or something like that, where each hospital has their own particular thing that they're really good at?
That's exactly what we're trying to work through right now.
Who can do what the best?
Who can do what the best, and what technology is needed in order to keep up with the trends to deliver the care that needs to be cared, where we have the capability to invest in that technology. Over the last, 80 to 50 years, each of these hospitals has grown up on its own, right, independent of one another.
They've had their own identities.
And everyone does a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And in healthcare, as patients, the population is smaller today than it used to be. It's older today than it used to be. We don't have the capability anymore to provide everything everywhere. The other thing that's happening is technology is advancing so fast, whether it's through genomics, pharmaceuticals, new tools and mechanisms to deliver care, toys that the doctors need to take care. Those things, you really need to invest in a center there in order to keep up with the trend. And so you will see us. I mean, we're a long way off from being able to say definitively, eyes are going to be here and cancer will be there. But we are having conversations, and we're calling it's the clinical footprint, right? What do patients need? What needs to be as close to home as possible? And what, if we had to drive, what's a reasonable drive? And how do we make the two and all of that come together and meet?
So Cindy, this question's either for you or Andy. With your staff holding many positions at both the local and regional responsibilities, how does that affect the services?
Well, we're doing the majority of that work is at a higher level, like the chief nursing officer, for instance, Christine Anderson, is our local chief nursing officer, but she's also the regional chief nursing officer. And she works with the chief nursing officer at Coastal Health Alliance with Penn Bay and Waldo, and then at Midcoast. And really what that's doing is it's leveraging, looking at what is best practice in nursing and how do we work together to provide that. Today they just had a meeting talking about how do we provide clinical education on site, standardized throughout our region. And so she brought all of those clinical educators together, and they're trying to figure out a plan of how to do that and leverage the resources we do have across our region. So that's one example. So it's more responsibility for Christine being both, but it also keeps her really grounded in what's happening in the local plus the regional viewpoints, and it's working really well. And I would say here locally, we've got a couple of people doing that kind of work, and they're trying to stay connected locally and with the region. But our engagement scores this year at Lincoln Hospital are really, really great. They've improved this past year. We're seeing really strong engagement. And I think that's the culture of open communication, trust, transparency, respect, and that we're all working together to provide the best care possible to our communities. And we're working together as a region to also do that, because we want to make sure people have access to care, to all the levels of care they need, not just what we can provide in one hospital, but what we can provide in a bigger footprint across the region. And those regional
partnerships with a common goal.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You know, the vision of MaineHealth is working together so our communities are the healthiest in America. And we're doing that work locally, regionally, and as a system.
Andy, on a different note, this rebranding process that the hospital is going through, can you tell us how's that change going to, how are people going to identify readily with each hospital? That's going to be a challenge, I think.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot to learn still by listening to.
I'm a local boy. It's always going to be Miles Hospital.
Serve,
I was born here
well,
70-odd years ago.
You can call the hospital, whatever feels good to you. You know, I have a personal anecdote in this area. My mom gets cared for from a primary care provider who is at Midcoast Hospital, and she was referred for specialty care and somewhere in Portland, and she had no idea that it was all MaineHealth. And for her, and she was worried, well, how are they going to know what my history is, and how will the specialist I see get information back? And one of the things that this rebranding does is it communicates to the community and to patients that we are all one. You know, you can't see the unified medical record, right? You can't see the hours that our doctors and providers spend collaborating with each other on the care that they provide up and down the area that we serve. But you can see and you can signal to patients the feeling of we are all one when we have unified, consistent ways of identifying ourselves. And branding is hard because it's the heart of who we are, what our identity is. You love this hospital. Everyone in the community that they live in, especially if they were born there, has a really special place in their heart
that connection
for where they get taken care of. So changing a brand should not ever occur without a lot of thought and a lot of care and deliberate purpose. But the why is to make it undeniably clear that we are all in one family. We are all working together to make our communities the healthiest in America. And if you come in the door in Lincoln, in Damascotta at Lincoln Hospital, and you end up going through a different door in Portland at Maine Medical Center, it's all the same family of people taking care of you.
That makes me feel a little better.
Well, and you know, the history of the local organizations is important to the community, as Andy was saying. And you said earlier, it's always going to be Miles to me. Well, it is Miles campus, and we're going to keep that legacy, and it will be St. Andrew's campus. We're keeping that legacy because it is important to who we are, the grassroots. But as Andy pointed out, knowing you're part of a bigger family and that you're going to be treated the same as you walk through the doors here in the emergency room, and if we have to send you somewhere else, whether it's Midcoast or Penn Bay or Maine Med, you're going to be handed off to folks that are still working within the same family of care. And I think the team here has always been very proud of, we're a team of people caring for our community, and that's our family, our friends, our neighbors, the people we go to church with. Dr. Hunold will say the people you see in Hannaford, Hannaford medicine, that's going to stay the same. But we want people to know that they've got arms wrapped around them as they travel up and down the coasts and to other places that they need to seek care.
As you witnessed during COVID, when the community reached out and wrapped their arms around MaineHealth,
Yes,
it became a family
absolutely.
that was really tied and connected with each other. I remember the people on the street down here. You remember it too, Cindy.
Absolutely,
looking out
it
your
was
window.
amazing.
There's some exciting developments here at MaineHealth. A new hand surgeon, ophthalmologist, special procedures, only available in Boston, and you're doing them here in Damariscotta. Share some of these. The new infusion center going on. Share some of this stuff, Cindy.
It's very exciting.
There's so much happening.
So much happening.
It's like, how do you wrap your head around it all?
We're right now, if you drove up the causeway, you'd see a portable CAT scan trailer outside and taking up parking spaces. I'm so sorry. Right, if you did it today, maybe when this airs, it won't still be there, because what we're doing is we're having to do some renovations where our CAT scanner is today to put a brand new CAT scanner in. So state-of-the-art CAT scan to replace the one we have, which is super important because we want to keep up with technology. You're right, absolutely. We've got some congressional funds that we were allocated through work of Senator Collins and Senator King to take what used to be, speaking of history, the third floor of the hospital was Cove's Edge once upon a time, has been administration, it's been therapy. We're going to renovate that and reconfigure that because we are expanding the care we're providing to our communities around infusion care and chemotherapy. And we have oncologists on site, and we're going to bring those oncologists from the beautiful Watson Center purposefully to a brand new infusion center so that they can be right where their patients are, where they can see them right there. Patient doesn't have to come from the Watson over to infusion or infusion over to Watson. The providers and the team will all be there for one center of care for those patients. What an amazing thing we can provide in this community. And it's supported by the system in the region that we're able to do that. You've already spoken to, and you'll see Dr. Reed Fell and Dr. Ross Fell are both bringing state-of-the-art care with new technology being utilized here at MaineHealth. And that operating room that you'll get a view into is expanding, and we're trying to help provide access to care for Midcoast and Penn Bay as well, whether it's through colonoscopy work or eye care or what have you. So we're really trying to be a place where people can seek care locally and a place in the region that we support our region with being able to expand where we should expand and support where others are expanding as well. It's really exciting.
It's very
If I
exciting.
could just have more parking, I'd be super excited.
Fill in the gulch out here. I don't know. So Andy, overseeing 4 hospitals is no small task. It's like 4 children growing up. Everybody has their own identity, but yet they're all doing some of the same stuff. Touch a little bit in what ways they differ.
I like that you called it children.
Oh, and I actually don't see it that way, though. I'm learning as much from them as I bring to them, and I think sometimes even more. The first thing that's so important is that they're all led by absolutely incredible leaders. Whether you have Dr. Chris Bovey, who is the president at Midcoast Hospital, you have Cindy here, who is the president of Lincoln Hospital, and you have Dr. Janice Needham, who's a trained pharmacist who is leading Coastal Healthcare Alliance, which really is Waldo Hospital and Penn Bay Hospital. 3 absolutely incredible patient-centered leaders backed up by teams of providers and physicians and cultures that are yes, unique, but also incredibly positive, incredibly cohesive places where we're always learning, always trying to get better, always working on the next thing. And that's that spirit of innovation is strong throughout all three places. You know, the communities are all different, right? And I think that one of the things that's interesting is what a wonderful steward and representative each of the hospital presidents is for their community. My husband is 9th generation Mainer from Rockport, but I didn't grow up here. And so
We won't hold that against
no,
you.
we don't know that, and maybe, you know, but I think, and they all have deep roots and wonderful, active, engaged local boards that oversee quality and safety and community engagement and philanthropy in each of their communities. And that is so powerful. I think the thing that's one of the most special things about Maine that I've learned and what I see happening at MaineHealth and here in the coastal region is the sense of place and the importance of identity and place and pride in communities. And that it's such a treat to see that across 3 different hospitals led by 3 amazing leaders with 3 engaged boards. I could not ask for a better job. It's just a wonderful place to be.
So I'm going to turn to the trustees now. Ms.
Yeah.
Marvin Nesbitt, she's been a member of the Board of Trustees for quite some time. Share what it means to be a trustee overseeing this amazing facility.
At the risk of sounding goopy, which Cindy knows I always do, I am so proud of this institution and so proud to be a part of it. If you know me, you know I don't do what I don't believe in, and I believe strongly in this organization. The changes I've seen in my time to have the privilege of serving on this board of directors have been amazing. You know, certainly the Watson Center, which is just...
You've built a medical doctor's office, the Watson Center. You were part of the transformation when St. Andrews and Lincoln merged. We just had the Van Winkle building, the overhaul. I mean, it's just goes on and on and on. I mean, it's a real testament to your board.
It really is. And we have, I know Andy bragged about the mall. I'm telling you, we have a whip bang board of trustees here at Lincoln Health. We're so careful in how we choose board members. I believe it was a process that Cindy started years ago, but in governance, we're very careful to select a broad range of representatives on our board of trustees that represent all segments of our society.
Speak to how you select a trustee and what are the terms?
I was afraid you were going to even ask me how long I'd been. I know I was a trustee when I did the capital campaign for Watson, and that was 2018, so heaven knows how long I've been a trustee. She's probably getting ready to boot me off. But we have a governance committee, and there is a grid that has been developed in terms of the skills that we think should be represented on our board of directors. There's a process of nominating potential members of the board of trustees, and then discussions are held very seriously and very carefully on the governance committee before offers are made. And then if someone is chosen before they're chosen, if someone's identified by the governance committee, then Cindy and another representative from the board of trustees, usually on the executive committee, sit and have lunch and talk about what our expectations are, like attending and being engaged. We expect all of our trustees to be involved in operation, to serve on at least one committee. Some of us serve on 99 committees. We expect them to be engaged and to participate and to know. I mean, and we have wonderful committees, patient quality and safety, one of my personal favorites. But you know, there's governance, there's senior living, there's philanthropy. There's wonderful committees, and generally very engaged committees. We've had to lengthen, I chair philanthropy, and we've had to lengthen our committee meetings because we have such an engaged group on our philanthropy committee. You know, that helps us here. You know, we raised the money to build that beautiful center over there.
I want to ask the question, I want to circle back to 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago now, when COVID struck. What was it was all hands on deck, lots of meetings. You guys had to come up with a plan. You had to come up with a plan today.
Fast.
You didn't have 6 months to think about this plan. Cindy, you can talk a little bit because you were second in command at that time. What were those meetings all about? And there was a lot of pressure.
There was, I think locally it was bringing the team together and sharing as much as we knew at the time and trying to be thoughtful in our communications and transparent. We were so supported by the system. Part of what we did was we set up Hospital Incident Command System, which is a national system that gets set up with certain roles and responsibilities, which engages people in the right conversations and gives roles to people so that you can cover operations, logistics, safety, all the things that you need to. Professionals, because infection prevention was a big part of that, obviously. So those roles were all delineated, and I would say, and then we were connected to the system all the time because supplies became a big discussion, right? And how do we get our supplies through the contracting, through MaineHealth, and people had to shift and pivot because supplies became scarce in some areas. So we used the national system of Hospital Incident Command, and we connected that way. And I think and I know that all of us did, was made sure that we were connecting on a continuous basis with our care team. They were scared. Our community was scared, and then we leveraged, as you are well aware, being outside in the freezing cold in the early morning all day long, connecting the community through LCTV, and just trying to get as much information out as possible. And we leveraged our local experts depending upon what it was we wanted to convey as the information. But I think, that was the key to it, is trying to alleviate teamwork, alleviating fears, using a system that works, has been proven to work through Hospital Incident Command, and sometimes we were communicating out 2 and 3 and 4 times a day to our care teams, who a lot of them, if they weren't direct hands-on caregiving, they were off-site, virtual. Like everybody that didn't need to be on-site providing hands-on care really was home. And that, again, was a scary, how do you connect with them? So all of a sudden, setting up all that infrastructure. We still we used that infrastructure of Hospital Incident Command. We just used it not too long ago through the storms that we had over the winter.
You took my next question away from me, is what did you learn from that?
Oh, absolutely.
There must have been lessons on top of lessons from the board, from senior management of moving forward.
Well, Larry, if you and Cindy will permit me, the one thing that was so fortunate for us is we hadn't been up under the MaineHealth umbrella that long when COVID came. And it was a salvation for us. Rural hospitals could have faltered under the pressure of COVID and folks not knowing and the soaring costs for supplies and so on. So it was a blessing for us to be under the MaineHealth system when COVID hit. Because as you well know, it's another source of pride for me, as rural hospitals go, we're flourishing while all you have to do is read the newspaper, and out west there are places where people have to drive 4 and 5 hours to even get to a hospital. So we are so fortunate to still have such a vibrant, vital, outstanding, I haven't even touched on all of our awards yet, hospital right here in our local community where so many of our residents feel so personally about this hospital. You were born here. We have staff members, I won't venture a percentage, but probably a significant portion of our staff members who were born here or their parents worked here in some capacity. I think that's part of what sets us apart in the entire system is our uniqueness. I remember cornering Andy when she first came on board. I'm sure you recall. I was leaving a meeting she was coming into, and I introduced myself, and I said, I'm a trustee here, and I hope you'll come to understand what a special place we are. And I remember her answer to this day. She said, "I've already been told you're Valhalla." And I said, "Good, believe it." Is that not our conversation? And we are just a truly special place. Not only are we an excellent place with superb employees, a wonderful reputation, a wonderful management team here, but we're just a very unique place. We're a vital part of this community and our primary employer, I might add.
You are a large employer. Cindy, speak a little bit about the awards you've won recently.
Oh gosh, so we just found out that we were named a 5-star hospital through CMS, so Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is a pretty big deal. It's something that is on our strategic goals for the system, is that we all strive to be 4-star or higher. And so we were named, as well as Maine Medical Center this year, as 5-star hospitals, which is really exciting. Becker's, which is a national known group, has named us also as a top hospital. So it's really great, and it's a tribute to the team that provides that care every single day, and the team that supports the team that has to give the care. So, you know, whether it's our environmental service workers or our food and nutrition service workers, our oncologists, our nurses, wherever you are, everybody takes great pride in what they're doing. And everything that everyone does every day is to support and provide the resources to be able to provide high quality, safe care. And we, again, as Marva said, we couldn't do that without the system that we're a part of today. So MaineHealth is so important for so many very different reasons. So we're all very proud to be part of that system.
Very proud.
Well, I know it was an eye-opener for myself at working at LCTV when COVID struck, is knowing the hospital has been here as long as I had, but see the inner workings. Not being a patient here, not being an employee here, but being that third looking from the outside looking in and getting to know the inner workings of a hospital and learning and understanding it was really amazing. And I'm sure the fire drill, which was COVID and the pandemic, has brought many lessons that you've learned from. Have I left anything out? Andy? Final thoughts.
One thought that you just triggered that I think you clearly appreciate, and it's worth underscoring here, is hospitals are magic places. They're places where people are born. They're often places where people leave this earth. There's places where there's ultimate expressions of humanity, turning someone in a bed, bringing their food, helping a parent restrain a child who's upset but needs to get a shot. Those are intimate moments in the lives of everyone in this world, or in our who are lucky enough to live in a community with a hospital. And that kind of care is so sacred to what is done here at Lincoln Hospital and throughout MaineHealth and really anywhere in the nation. And it's there's a certain kind of a reverence that I have for the expression of love that happens in a hospital every single day. And it's not easy to do, and the people who work in these environments care so deeply and work so hard. And so it's wonderful to be recognized by the community and by news outlets such as yours. This work is truly heroic and very special, and we're led by incredible people who know the community, know what the community needs, and are here to help navigate. So it's a special thing.
I'm looking at you, Cindy. I know you have some final words.
Well, I would just like to say,
this is a special place.
It is a special place. I love working here. I walk, no matter what door I go through, whether it's in Waldoboro, Wiscasset, Booth Bay, or here in Damascata. I love the people I work with. I'm very passionate about it because I know we're trying to do the very best we can to provide care close to home. And not just care, but high quality, safe care. And we always have opportunities to learn and improve, and I welcome that input from people. But I have to say, you know, on my desk today, 2 or 3 cards of thanks. I had an email this morning of thanks. There's a write-up in the Portland Press-Herald today that talks about Miles. But we couldn't do it without the support of our board, the support of MaineHealth and being part of MaineHealth, but also support in the connections we have, like this, being able to provide open communications and different aspects to our community through LCTV. I think that that's been super important, and that connection, even though we all knew each other before the pandemic, really solidified and exploded during, and we worked so well together to communicate to our communities, and we've continued to do that. And it's super important to me that the community knows what's going on here locally, and that we have this avenue to do it. So thank you.
I hear that constantly about the communication that the community received through our little short 5 and 6 minute things that we did at COVID, and it was the beginning of a great partnership, and I'm very, very blessed to be part of that. Marva, believe it or not, I'm going to give you the last word.
Hooray.
If there is a last word.
I never have a last word, Larry. Well, I'll end with where I began, the extraordinary pride I feel in being part of this organization. Back when I earned money for the work I did, one thing was working with organizations, and I always say you can feel an organization the minute you come through the door, and you can, and it works. And you cannot walk down the corridor in this hospital without being spoken to as you pass. I walk in the front door, and the first thing I do, the folks there behind wave, and I wave. Of course, I'm here a good bit.
I got a hug today when I came through the door.
It's our nurses are continually recognized for their skill and their compassion in patient care. Our emergency room, we just are a place of exceptional people, and it makes me so very proud to be a trustee here, and I take the responsibility very seriously, as Cindy knows. I do. It's a wonderful place to be, and we are so truly fortunate to have such a fine institution in our wonderful community. So,
well, ladies, I thank you. Andy Patstone, Coastal Region President of MaineHealth, Cindy Wade, President of Lincoln Hospital, and Marvin Nesbitt, Board Trustees. I'm Larry Sodding. I've been your host for this fifth and final episode of Medicine in Coastal Maine. We want to really thank our sponsor, Bangor Savings, as they have been behind us 100%, Hager Enterprises, and Tidewater Telecom. Thank you to my guest today, and we hope you've enjoyed this series as much as we have been bringing it to you. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
Hager Enterprises, a paving and excavation contractor specializing in all sorts of site work, utility installations, and road construction since 1987.
When Tidewater Telecom built Lincoln County's first fiber-to-the-home network in 2011, we knew we were starting a project that would take years to see through. 9 years later, we are proud to have connected more than 2,000 Lincoln County homes to our blazing fast open fiber network. But that hasn't dimmed our vision to connect all of Lincoln County. Learn more about the power of fiber optic internet at tidewater.net.